morning, everyone. Welcome back to the one, the only AM show. Now, I am sitting here with Darren Desrameaux, who is a seasoned real estate professional based in New York City with over a decade of experience in the industry. So, welcome to the show, Darren. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Yay! So happy to have you here. You're probably very familiar with all these buildings back here, right? You're
yes,
like,
I am.
That's costly. That one, they're made demolish it. So before we kick this off, I just wanted to know, how did you get into real estate? Is this always something that you wanted to do?
Wow. Well, that's really deep. The reason why I got into real estate, my mom went through foreclosure. So a lot of people don't know this story.
Yeah.
There was the time when the adjustable rate was hitting and a lot of people's homes were getting foreclosed on. That happened to my mom. She didn't get foreclosed on, but she went through that process.
Oh.
So I was probably around 16, 17 years old. I saw my mother went through a lot of stress, sleepless nights, you know, and was home but wasn't present.
Yeah.
So as her only son, I felt a certain way, and I felt like I couldn't help her, and that's how I started learning about mortgages. I actually interned for this foreclosure company for about 6 months, and that's how I started. I loved it, and that was my journey.
Wow, what a story with the root being something that kind of traumatically affected you in your formative years, in your teenage years. And I think that's the thing with parents, they want to hide all of that from you as much as possible, but then you can just also see that, hey, you know what, it really is affecting. And were you able to get a different perspective when you interned at a foreclosure company on what the process is like? Because you've seen it from both sides, how it affects one person, and then also the companies that are doing the foreclosing?
Of course.
Yeah.
I came around a lot of different companies, a lot of different people, and, you know, met a lot of good and bad people.
Yeah.
So the great thing that I learned from that part, the beginning part of my journey, was how to manage people. Because that, you know, like my mother, she was in a very delicate stage. So I saw it, and when I went to speak to other people, I knew how to handle it. Because other people went there with the money in their mind. How can I make money? Yeah. How can I get this listing? Or how can I wholesale it? But I went there to help. So that was my approach, and naturally I did well because I had a different perspective of the business at the time. And it was a lot of fun, and my greatest joy was seeing someone smile in a hard time.
Because you had empathy.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that a lot of people, when they're money-driven, money-focused, they lack that. You lack compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
But seeing it firsthand, you were able to understand that, hey, these are people we're talking about.
Real people.
Right?
that live, wake up every single day,
yeah,
hustle, grind, and still can't make it.
Yeah, and they're just trying to survive and put a roof over their head and food on the table.
For their children, like what my mother was trying to do for me.
Yeah.
And so I had a little soft spot for them.
Of course. How could you not? And so you're a New York native, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Queens, Lawton.
Wow, grew up in.
Shout out to Queens.
There you go. Everyone watching from Queens.
Yeah.
So how has growing up in New York City kind of helped you succeed at being a realtor? I mean, for almost a decade to be able to do this, that's quite an accomplishment. Do you think that it's allowed you to have more of an understanding of your clients and buyers and sellers and everything that encompasses the industry?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. New York City is a melting pot, different people. So I serve a lot of different people, understand their religion, understand that, you know, some people can't speak to them at a certain time. And I think that New York shaped me to be, you know, the best real estate professional I can be, because everybody's different. So, and just like, I'm not sure if you've seen that movie about McDonald's, about Ray Kroc.
Oh, yeah, the origins of McDonald's. Oh,
yes. Yeah. They said that McDonald's is not a hamburger and fry business. And I believe that real estate is not a home business, it's a people business. So if you know how to manage people, you can definitely sell real estate. Yeah. Because selling real estate is nothing. It's really managing the individual from point A to point B.
Okay, so it's knowing that person and being kind of more of a people person. Would you say that that's kind of a quality you have to have?
Yeah, you got to be a people person. You got to love what you do because it's high and lows. But really, the big thing is being a people person.
Yeah, and I know that you say your real estate philosophy is bigger and better. What does that mean to you? Is that kind of what you're saying right now, is just kind of being bigger and better than what everyone else is doing? Or is that just about a personality trait that you have to have?
Part of it is doing better every single day. It's a tough business. Real estate is not easy. It might sound easy, and you see a lot of things on social media and online, but it's really rough for the buyer and the professional or the seller. But if you have the right team, you can make it. But when you go back to being bigger and better, it's about growing every single day. Like, for example, this year is my career high, $10 million real estate sold.
Woo!
Yeah.
10 mil.
Yeah.
That's a massive accomplishment.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
good for you.
Yeah. But I put a plan in place,
Yeah.
and God will worked out great.
Yeah, it did happen overnight.
No.
Right?
No.
I think that's the thing, and I think you speak to a good point when you say what you see online and whatnot. People have a perception about real estate agents.
Definitely.
Especially shows like Selling Sunset. People watch that and they're like, oh, just beautiful women in dresses going and selling $25 million mansion. Easy. We don't have to learn anything. And I think you started to see, especially during COVID, or at least I saw and I knew personally a lot more people getting into real estate when the market was a lot better for a real estate agent.
Yeah.
It was easier for a real estate agent to sell because it was definitely a buyer's market. A lot of folks got into it, but then quickly fell off once the going got tough. Right?
Because it's a mindset, and people got to remember it's a business.
Yeah.
So it's not your 9 to 5. You got to, budget yourself. Mm-hmm. Even when things are rough, you still have to go outside. You still have to meet people, still have to network, still got to make phone calls, still have to follow up. 100 no's, all you need is one yes.
Oh, that's all you need, right?
That's all you need. And that my thing is that if I service well, the byproduct will be money. So I don't think about what I'll make, I think about how can I service the client.
And so let's talk about that serving the client.
Yeah.
What is your process like? Because I know every real estate agent has a different process. Do you try and understand exactly what the client wants, what they need, who they are, what their family is like, and then you go and maybe show them properties to either buy or to rent? Or do you kind of just present stuff to them and then learn about them that way? Or just tell us your model. What do you do?
First, I don't work with everyone.
Okay.
I try to get to know an individual first, in the sense of like, hey, how are you? What is your goal? Are you sell or buy? Mm-hmm. Now, I try to find out the character of the individual, because it's really a relationship. So if I'm working with you for 6 months, for these 6 months, I need to be in contact with you almost every day or every other day. And I need you to answer my call, answer my text message. If the loan officer need a doc, we need that. If title company have an issue, the communication have to be on point. And sometimes you can tell if you're gonna have an issue from the beginning. So you're kind of just like you'll be interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. Because every transaction have a hurdle. It could be title issue. It could be the loan don't get approved for whatever. Maybe we have to switch lenders. But whatever it is, we gotta make sure we fit first, because the relationship is important. Then after, I want to know why you're moving. So it's kind of weird to say because I make money on a sale, but I have to know why you're moving and if you're motivated enough to get to the goal line.
Well, because even right there, you're seeing 6 months. That's a long time, especially if you're working off commission.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid during those 6 months. You get paid at the end once everything is signed.
Yeah.
So if someone drops out with it 3 months in, you just lost 3 months worth of work.
Yes.
So do you kind of make a decision about like a client if you want to move forward with them within the first like few weeks, or is it like first few days?
Usually the first sit down, I can really gauge and see, okay, if this person is a good person, do I really see them going to the goal line? You have to understand the person. Will they take your advice? Everybody today, because of social media, everybody think they can do real estate.
Yeah, they really do.
Everybody think they can do real estate. So If I, this young lady I'm working with right now, for example, her budget was tight. She was always getting over, when she put an offer in, someone always beat her. And we had to kind of go back to the drawing board and say, this is what we have to do. And what I told her, like, hey, look at a crappy home and do something that's called a 2 or 3K loan and build your palace. She didn't like the idea at first because she wanted a move-in ready home. But when she really thought about it, like, this made more sense because of her experience in the market. So right now we're under contract. We should be closing in 2 weeks.
Great.
So really it's the experience of the broker and that's on your team with the attorney, lender, and title company.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to how you service your client, to me, is who you working with. Because I'm just one piece of the puzzle.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
How many hands are actually involved? It's not like, oh, you like it? Okay, here, sign this paper, we're good to go.
No.
It's a lot, even a credit check. Like, they could really like it, you could really like the place, even the person wants to sell to you, but the bank may say no.
That's
and then what are you
one.
gonna do? Right?
Your first issue is the other agent on the other side, if there's one. So it's my job to sell that to the other agent. This will happen. My client is 100% good to go. And, you know, being a listing agent also, you're kind of scared about that because your client believes in you and you don't want to make that mistake of bringing somebody who can't close.
Yeah.
So that's the first line of defense. If you can build that relationship again with the listing agent, then your life might be a little easier.
And does it become like kind of a small circle in New York City? Like, do you start to know a lot of these other agents?
Yes.
You've worked together on other places? Because, you know, a city like New York can feel so big. And I'm sure, like, or I would assume, you let me know, once you get into it, it's kind of a little bit smaller, which may help you at the end of the day.
Yeah, because the people, they say 80%, 80% of the business being done by 20% of the people.
Wow. Wow, though, that's a staggering number.
Yeah.
80% by 20% of the people.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, how long do negotiations normally last? Do you have any like stories of like a wild negotiation process? Is it really you running from one room to the next to the next?
Negotiation can start from the minute you put an offer in to the closing table. And that's really the truth because they might see something at the closing that they didn't see. Or during the last walkthrough, the window doesn't shut. And we just realizing that for whatever reason. And the buyer's unhappy and they want a credit. And the seller say, no, we agreed at this number. You didn't realize that during your inspection. What about the buyer pulls? So are you gonna lose this deal for $250?
A window,
yeah. But some people ego will, that will happen.
That's a lot, and you're having to kind of manage those personalities. Do you think, because I know that you started in sales before you got into real estate.
Yeah.
Do you think your experience in sales, I know you worked for some phone companies and a solar company as well, you think that helped you with times like that with negotiation and being able to kind of sell to maybe your client or to the other agent about a listing?
Yeah, well, my selling career started at Victoria's Secret.
No way.
Yeah.
How fun.
I got hired way back at Victoria's Secret at Green Acres Mall. I was a stock boy.
There you go.
And I got bored after 6 months putting sensors on undergarments. Got very boring.
I'm sure.
And I told my manager, hey, I need to do something else because this is, I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, let's try cash wrap. So I went on a cashier and there was a big push for Victoria's Secret credit card. I think that my first time on a cash wrap, I sold 5.
Wow. And your first time on the register.
Yeah.
So you had it kind of like in you. It's kind of like
I didn't
born
know.
with it a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Huh.
I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know at all. I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
So, and then everybody was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And then I'm like, okay, like, whatever. And they kept training me and I kept being on the cash wrap, kept producing. And I also, at the same time, I was a youth counselor at an after-school program. So I was doing that, and I got tired of that. That wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And so then I transferred full-time to Victoria's Secret. Met my wonderful wife there.
Aww.
Yeah.
Hey, wife. She's right here behind
Yeah, she's right here.
Nice.
And just a little joke. We used to say, our Victoria's Secret is how we met.
Aww, it's beautiful. It all started there.
It all started there.
You were able to sell yourself to her,
Yeah.
and it continued on.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool hearing just kind of the origin of where like it kind of started from, and how it was just kind of always in you to be that people person, to be able to see what you had to do and being able to have results and do it. Whether it's with selling the Victoria credit cards, whether it's seeing a woman you wanted and marrying her, you kind of did it. You sold yourself there. I love it. So we're gonna take just a quick commercial break. I want to hear so much more from you of your history, and also I want to talk about where the markets are now and what people should be doing now, especially if they want to either go buy a home, maybe rent a home, especially in a city like New York, and there's a lot of fluctuations going down. So Darren's not going to be going anywhere, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we have so much more about the industry when we return. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the AM show. I am still here, joined by Darren Desrameaux he's a real estate agent. He is based here in New York City, and we're talking about all things happening in the market. Welcome on back, guys. All right, so we were just talking a little bit about your past and the sales experience and how that got you to where you are today. And now I want to just kind of transition the conversation to talking about the market right now. Where are we at right now? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? What are you seeing?
We're in a situation market.
Situation? Oh, I have never heard of that. Please explain.
For example, my client that I was talking about previously about having a tight budget, she lost a lot of bids, and the home that she actually won, it fell. Somebody lost that deal for whatever reason, and this seller needed more time to sell his home because he's going through some type of estate issue, and my client needed a low price home in a good neighborhood. Allegedly, I can't by laws I can't call what neighborhood is good, but allegedly.
Okay.
By her eyes,
her standards,
standards, that this was a good neighborhood for her, and she needed something that was very, very affordable. So I negotiated a deal where she get the price at a good rate and have the funds to do the repairs. So that's what I mean by situations.
Gotcha.
There's different pockets in New York City, period, that are just extremely hot. And there's different pockets like, hey, and whatever. So I don't really see it as a buyer-seller market. I really see it as if we can bring two people together.
If you're able to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not so much one way or so much the other way in a sense. Do you think interest rates right now, where they're at, because they're so high?
They're not high anymore.
Not high anymore?
They're actually amazing. Right now, my client got locked last week at 5.75.
Okay.
And well, last year around this time, we were like 8%, maybe close to 9%, wherever we were. So if you think about the cost of money, it's very cheap right now. So if you think about last year's standards, year over year.
Compared to last year.
Yeah.
But compared to, let's say, pre-COVID numbers.
That's not real.
It's not real? Okay.
That's not real because we had a big issue in America all over the world. So people wasn't able to go out. People was dying by the millions. So this was a very unorthodox thing that was going on in this country. So the rates at 3.75 or even 2%. I hear people that was locking rates in at 2% in refi. So 2.37, I believe.
That's wild.
That's exactly.
And they're probably really happy if they get 30-year on that.
30-year on that.
Wow.
And she told me she won't move.
Why would you? You can't go up to 5-6%. I mean.
So right now, either if you're a buyer or a seller, this is the time to jump into the market. The reason why I say that is if you're buying a home, you can't wait till Fox 5, ABC tell you that the rates are low. I just told you the rates are 5.75. Nobody's really talking about it. But when it was at 9%, everybody was talking about it. You have to be in the game now. And what I mean by that, have a broker, get pre-approved. A pre-approval lasts about 6 months. Get pre-approved. If you see something, if you see an opportunity, you can jump in.
That's actually a really good point, that a pre-approval can last for up to 6 months.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So that is obviously beneficial, because then you can just jump right into the process of negotiating and possibly
absolutely
closing, right?
Once realistically, once your situation haven't changed, you know, if it changed for the best, better for you. But if you're still, when you got pre-approved in the beginning, everything's the same, you'll be fine. They just need updated pay stubs. You know, if you don't run any credit. People tend to do this. The big do not. And I see that kills a lot of deal at the closing table. Buyers excited. They got a mortgage commitment and they go buy a living room set. The mortgage company approve you based with whatever they approve you on without the living room set.
So just kind of pause for a minute until the paperwork's actually signed, and then you can go and
do whatever. You get your car, get your, you know, whatever you need, because the mortgage company, they qualify you based on your debt to income ratio.
At that moment.
At that moment.
So if you do a big switch, then they could pull it from you.
They can pull it from you because they have a mortgage commitment based on those numbers.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. Yeah. But then people, if they're not aware of that, they're not thinking of it, and then all of a sudden they think they're good, and then it's just gone.
But it's not even, they might be aware of it, but they thought that since they have a mortgage commitment, they can do whatever. No. You gotta wait till all the docs are signed, and you know, after you go close at the table, go do whatever you need to do.
Guys, are you listening to this, guys? Because I had no idea about that. That is a very good tip there. Now, I wanted to pick your brain on some other tips, all right? So we're talking about what to do there, especially when you're getting pre-approved.
Yes.
When you go into a home with a buyer and you're going to look at it, what are some red flags right away that you need to say, you know what, nope, we're walking out of here, or something that you really need to point out to your client? What's something you can look at? Because I walk into a house and I'm like, oh, looks great, but what should I be looking for?
If you're a buyer,
yeah,
and you're trying to see what's wrong with this house, tour a house on a rainy day.
You can check leaks. You can check, wow, I didn't even think of that. Tour it when it's not so beautiful and bright and looking incredible with that sun beaming in.
I'm gonna tell you two things why that helped.
Yeah.
If a client is out with me on a snowy day or a rainy day, I know they're serious.
Okay. Yeah, because you're not, especially here in New York City.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go into the negatives unless you really want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I'm working with 3 clients and I have one that's ready to go out with me anytime, anywhere, no matter what's the weather condition, and then I have another client who's pre-approved for $10 million, but hey, it's lackadaisical, don't want to do nothing, and she just want to spend $500,000. I'm gonna give all my attention to her or him.
Because you know they're serious. They're not wasting your time.
I'm wasting my time.
I'm sure that's just so frustrating as a realtor. And I see it sometimes even when, like, if I go apartment hunting, you see some of these real estate agents and they've just become like a little colder, you can sense. I think it's the same way we talk about in the medical field where you see stuff every day, you get a little colder to it because you protect yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, you're showing the same place to so many people, and I'm sure people have gotten your hopes up, and then all of a sudden it goes down, and because nobody's locked in, right? Is that kind of the feel?
That's the high and the lows. As part of the high and the lows. But I have to also put myself in the tenant, buyer, or seller shoes. How many agents did you come across that didn't do what they said they were supposed to do? So I always keep that in the back of my mind and try to deliver that service. And that's why the first initial meet is important to me, because that I know how to gauge the relationship, not the sales process. The relationship. If you told me that, hey, Darren, you know, I was dealing with this guy and he couldn't do this, or dealing with this young lady, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. first I'm gonna figure out what he or she couldn't do, and maybe it wasn't the agent fault. Maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe it was the attorney, lender, or whoever, or maybe it's just friends and family who's giving you real estate advice where they're not in the real estate business.
Yeah, we all have that uncle, right? Sits you down for 3 hours.
I bought a house 30 years ago.
30 years, listen to me.
I know the foundation of real estate. Okay, buddy.
Yeah, all right.
We're in 2024. The rates are different.
Yeah.
But there are same fundamental thinking that might work, but everything's changed. Like my mother, when she bought her crib, she didn't think of buying her home with a cell phone. I meet new clients over the phone. Never seen them face to face. Sign agreements and putting offers with people I haven't seen or met.
Wow.
My mother would want to make sure I'm real.
I was going to say
that. The office is real.
Yeah.
With the big sign.
Huh.
But people right now, we're so busy, we're so in tune with our own life that you will hear people spend a couple $1 million just looking on Zillow or the company website.
See, that's wild to me because in my own process of doing real estate hunting, some photos and videos don't look like the place.
Yeah.
You have to go in, especially depth perception as well. A room can either feel really small in a photo and then you come and it's really big, or it's the exact opposite as well. So you're able to get sales without even meeting the person or showing them anything? That's really happening right now.
That's really happening.
Have you seen a tick up in that in the past few years?
Depending on what price point you're on. If you're like over 3 to 5 million people that who know what they want, who let's say a building on Park Avenue, who have that reputation, and they deliver a certain level of product, that might work for you.
And they know, and maybe they're not local to New York. Maybe it's like a second home, third
Absolutely.
home.
Absolutely.
Something like that. We're able to, I'm like your mom. I have the old school mentality of that. I want a connection. I want to know what I'm buying.
So am I.
And understand, right? And I think that's probably why, and I know that's why you're so successful, is being that personable with people. I can really sense it from your energy and the passion that you have for it. And you kicked off our whole conversation talking about love and passion. If you're going to get into this, you have to, because of those ups and downs and those highs and lows. So, it's wild in the digital age we live in that people are doing that.
People are doing that, and it's kind of crazy. But my CEO, I went to a meeting, kind of like a staff meeting, and my CEO said his biggest thing was going back to the basics. And part of going back to the basics are meeting people face to face and doing whatever it takes. If I have to go to your job, if you work on the Upper West Side and I'm on the Lower East Side and I have to meet you at the Starbucks there, and I have to figure out what Starbucks or what coffee shop is there, that's going to the basics. Not having that, that stay at home, do the work, mentality.
Yeah, and I think that we spoke a little bit about COVID before. I think that's the mentality that everyone's starting to shift out of, or trying to at least. And I think this is one of those big steps in doing that. Because you can get so complacent just being by yourself at home with your computer. But over time, what does that do for society? Humans are meant to interact with other humans. We're meant to feel that. And I think the end product is always better than more of a digital footprint and a digital product in that sense, right?
Absolutely.
Communication just via email and not actually getting to hear your voice and understand where you're coming from and all of that. So I think that's really smart that you guys, that you're doing that right now. And just going back to when we were touching a little bit on social media, how has social media kind of helped you or changed the way in which you try to sell? Because I know that you have a profile on TikTok. I know you're on Instagram. We actually have some of those videos. We can play some of those right now of you talking in front of some of the places that you're trying to sell. How have you noticed a shift? Has it been helping for you? Are you trying to get more into that?
I'm horrible. I'm horrible on social media, and someone told me hey Darren, you're really good at what you do, but people need to know what you do. And right now, a lot of people connect over social media, just over social media platform. So in the last 6 to 8 months, I'm doing 4 deals just basically because of social media.
So it's actually started working.
Yeah.
People have seen, because those videos that we were just showing, they're great. It's just you in front. Hey, come with me, come walk. Because then I know who you are. Now I see you. I put a face to the name. I see what the listing is looking like, and I see your energy. And it's great to see that you've been getting results. That's awesome.
And you know, it's hard to do it, and I applaud any agent who can do it every single day, because it's a lot of work. Yeah. Because you got to understand that you got to service whoever you have now. Look for new business. Actually go out and create new content, edit it, and then post.
And then on top of that, you actually have your other clients, and you have everything else that you're dealing with. And outside
my wonderful wife.
That, you have a wife. You have
3 children.
3 children. There you go. You have a full plate there. No, I'm with you. Social media, people, you know, kids now, they say that they want to be YouTube stars and YouTube creators. That's like the #1 job. But I feel like people don't realize how much work goes into all of that.
Definitely.
And I'm with you on that. Social media, it's very hard. But when you see the results of it, I think it's great, especially the time that we're living in.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I'm just so proud of everything that you've been doing. The journey from where you started as a kid and seeing your mom go through a really crazy and sad part of the industry to now kind of changing that narrative, your family's narrative on real estate, and now selling over $10 million worth of real estate. Like, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
I want to give a big shout out to my mom.
Yes.
Wilda St. Villian, I love you. The reason she taught me a big lesson that when one door closed, another one open. So I know we all heard that saying before, but if you put yourself in a space where, oh my God, can't believe this happened to me. I just got fired, or I just lost this bid. Title's giving me an issue. But if you just put in your head like, this happened because of this or whatever, and just stay positive.
Stay positive.
Just whatever it is. I don't know how I stay positive every day. I just go home and look at my children.
It's so beautiful, and I think that lesson from your mother is incredible.
You just gotta stay positive and
stay positive.
Yeah, always have a smile on your face, because we're all going through something. We all live in the same city, so we all going through something. So just stay positive. That's my #1 thing.
I love that. That is such great advice, guys, today on this Wednesday morning. Darren, thank you so much for coming and being here. And guys, we're going to put his socials up here right below on the banner. You're on TikTok.
Yes.
You're on Instagram.
Yes.
You have your own website. It's all Darren Sells NYC, DarrenSellsNYC.com. So definitely get in touch with Darren if you guys are looking to buy, to sell, to rent, any of the above, or I think just pick your brain, and I may be calling you in the future too.
Anytime.
Thank you for being
here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we have just a little bit left of the show when we return. Woohoo!